to show you a whole bunch of different ways of how you can change your flash exposure when your flash is on your camera here. So I'm going to start off with the camera in P mode, program mode, which is a bit like auto. It pretty much does everything for you. And everything on the flash and on the camera is just set to how it is whenever you naturally get the camera. Okay, so just now my camera is giving me a reading of around about 1/60th of a second and f6.7, strangely. And if I take a photo just now, this is what it looks like. So I'd say that's a pretty okay exposure there, no problem there at all. But what if we want to change the flash exposure? Okay, the first thing that we can do is to dial in some negative exposure compensation. So on the top of the camera, over here, you have this button here. Now if you press that in and you rotate the back dial, you can change the total exposure. So here, if let's say I bring it down to -3, what will happen is pretty much everything will be less exposed. So if I take a photo here, as you can see, the photo is a much darker shot. So what's happened is there's less flash power, but also the camera's settings have changed. So now it's saying it's 1/180th of a second as well. So that's a quick way of changing your exposure, but also your flash exposure. The next thing is if you want to just only change the flash exposure, that's by pressing this button at the side. So if you push that one in, what happens is you get a new dial on the top of your camera. And if you press that in and you rotate the front dial, what happens is you will get flash exposure compensation. So only the flash exposure will be changing. So again, if I take a photo normally like this, and then if I push that in, and let's say I go for a -3 again, there you can see there's a big change in the flash exposure that you're getting. Okay, third way. Okay, let's bring it back so that the flash exposure on the camera is back to normal and the exposure compensation is back at normal. On the back of the flash, we now have another way where we can, if it's in TTL mode, what we can do is we can press the green button up here, which is actually for your exposure here. And this gives you an exposure kind of changing if you want. So let's go for a -3 again. And this should still be one of those dark shots. 3, 2, 1. There you go. So that's 3 ways straight away while your camera is in P mode of how to change your flash exposure when the flash is on top of your camera. Now, the next option that you can use is by using gels. Now, Roscoe, you can get a pack of gels, a strobist kit, for about £7, or you can get really, really cheap. Now, if your flash doesn't have TTL and you are in a manual setting, but you can't change the power, what you can do is you can put this in front of your flash. So if we put this there, and then put the filter holder there, if I take a photo, so currently my flash is on a 32th of a power. If I take a shot like that, and then if I take one without it, there, you can see a good difference in the exposure that you get from the flash, and that's just by putting something in the way. Another option, if you are shooting in a location like this, if you can tilt your flash up or down, so here it's direct onto the person, or you can have it pointing up so it illuminates the whole area, that will also change the amount of light hitting the subject. So effectively that will be decreasing your flash exposure as well. So just now, if I were to shoot this at you there, again this is in manual flash settings, so the power of the flash is not changing. But you'll notice again, big difference in the way the light kind of goes around the whole room, but also in how much it exposes what's right in front of the camera. Now, if you're in M mode, manual mode in your camera, and your flash is on M mode, what you can do to just quickly change the flash exposure is by changing the aperture. Now this will also change your overall image exposure as well, unless you've got it in aperture mode where it will compensate the shutter speed so that you don't need to worry about anything, and it will only change the flash exposure. Again, if you've got the flash in TTL settings, actually this is getting far too confusing. I'll break this up into little videos later on, but just let you know, lots of different ways to change your flash. If you've got any other questions, put them down below and I'll try and make sure that they go into the next video. Okay, hope that helps. Cheers, bye bye.